Goldberg's comment to the Times was he would not characterize this as a problem.
Well, what's really interesting, though, is I believe, I have my numbers right, only 19 of these were related to this Ken guy. Not like, what about...
Yeah, it wasn't all 29.
If you don't have a problem, then who are the other 10 for?
This is Byron Lazine and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 287 of The Real Word.
Word is up.
And NAR's back up on the agenda.
They are.
Yeah. Sorry about last week. We had a little issue with Nicole's mic. Good thing I did take up maybe 80%.
Well, good thing you always do.
Yeah.
We're good.
Well, no, it's going to be a 50-50 share here now that the...
Ruh-roh.
That won't happen again, by
Pressure's
the way.
on.
So we're going to update from last week, obviously, with the breaking story. The president of NAR stepped down and, after the New York Times expose. So now we're going to update with what's happened since then. NAR is standing behind CEO Bob Goldberg. You can find the story on nowbam.com. It's surprising because in any other organization, any other corporation where you have this type of fallout, 29 accusations plus, because if you look at the New York Times story, there are other accusers in the comments. Right. Now, those haven't been verified, of course, but a lot of them are lengthy. A lot of them seem fairly legit, people that work at
I'm
NAR.
sure based on those, the New York Times would be silly not to follow up and do another story. But
absolutely. So you got 29 or 29 plus, however you want to look at that, accusations. In a scenario like that, in the culture that we live in today, I can't imagine a corporation not removing the CEO.
Right.
And saying, let's swap the CEO out and put somebody else in
he
here.
was leaving anyway, so it's not, let's just fast forward. He's still going to get probably his pretty little pension.
A lot of money.
Yeah, we're good. He's good. Good.
Go back to last week's Real Word if you want to go through all those numbers.
Yeah.
We go through those, what the CEO makes, what the president was making. They continue to call him a volunteer,
yeah,
making $300,000. Again, I'll volunteer for any position making $300,000. So
always. Here's
what's happened since last week. After the resignation of Kenny Parcell, the former president of the National Association of Realtors, the industry's left wondering about the rest of leadership within the organization. By the way, the Tracey Kasper, NAR's new president, she's been, to me, a part of the club.
Well,
she's been around for a long time. This isn't like,
but keep in mind, all these people are trying to cover their asses. Everybody at this point, because honestly, I'm sure the more they start digging, the more that you'll probably find that they were condoning it.
Here's what she says.
And not just saying yeah, go do that, but they weren't trying to stop it, or if they saw something inappropriate, they probably weren't stepping in. So there's a lot of probably covering their own asses.
She's the president-elect, so it was supposed to start in November. It started immediately with the removal of Kenny Parcell. Now, people are looking to her, hey, wow, we've got a female president.
Right.
Certainly probably going to be, passionate about this issue of sexual harassment
of course.
and intimidation
honestly, that
in
was
the workplace.
my initial thought, too. I was like, oh, look, a woman,
Right.
Like
refreshing,
yeah.
Right? No, not very refreshing. She's basically a part of the Good Old Boys Club. In a statement, she stated the executive committee is united in support of our staff, and that includes Mr. Bob Goldberg, B-O-B. Okay. Aside from sexual harassment claims against Parcell, the New York Times article shed light on several allegations against NAR. That's a culture of fear, intimidation that starts at the very top of the chain of command. This has led to calls for resignation or early retirement for NAR CEO Bob Goldberg, who is currently set to retire at the end of 2024. He announced that retirement again 7 days before the lawsuit was filed back in June.
Right.
As CEO, when these lawsuits are coming, they don't just pop up one day. They settled it 9 days later. So a settlement was already in the discussions before that lawsuit was filed. So one of the most vocal, also a BAM article, nowbam.com, one of the most vocal critics is a Manhattan Compass agent who announced the NAR Accountability Project. Okay, this guy was on Jason Haber, by the way, Manhattan-based Compass agent, was on Fox News talking about this.
Yep.
Over the last 3 days, I've spoken to at least 25 current and former staff. The stories I've heard from them not only confirm what wasn't in the Times, but it turns out the Times was just the tip of the iceberg.
Obviously.
And he said that he called into the hot sheet on Friday. We do a call-in show now on
do?
Fridays. Yeah. He called in and he said there's a lot more coming.
Obviously you received that phone call.
Oh, yeah. It was live on the hot sheet. So, yeah, we're doing live call-ins on Friday, old school radio style.
People are calling, huh?
Absolutely.
I like it.
This isn't a story just about one man, Kenny Parcell. It's a story about a toxic, broken culture that exists in the upper echelons of NAR. Okay, so he's got over 1,000 signatures on this accountability project. It's gaining steam. His proposal includes, a new leadership team.
Yep.
So I would argue that Tracey, the new president, is not part of his vision for new leadership.
Okay.
Hire a third-party human resources provider.
Okay.
So take human resources out of NAR.
Yep.
And some type of third party there. And there are companies that do that.
That'll shake it up, I'm sure, a bit.
Yeah. We could be the HR.
No.
Me and you.
Nope.
HR.
Nope.
BAM, HR.
Oh, my God.
Haley, what's the BAM HR look like?
It's Byron, actually.
I'm the HR. I'll be the HR, BAM, and
Not
NAR.
a good look. Not a good look.
Not a good look at all. Super vulnerable there. Release NDAs that aren't tied to trade secrets. Finally, anyone that has a non-disclosure agreement that is not tied to trade secrets should be released from those NDAs, be able to speak freely. Okay? Would you agree with that?
100%.
Okay, so how can you get involved? It's on change.org petition. Agentsdemandchange.com is the website. It's linked in the Now BAM article. You can find it there. Okay, so I'm going to move now to
Your buddy.
another article. Okay, do you want to go through Kasper's full statement before we do that?
Whatever you want to do.
Let's do that. The support of Bob Goldberg. We know there are some who have been hurt. We acknowledge that is all up to all of us at NAR. Create necessary change the atmosphere they feel safe. The executive committee meets today to discuss NAR policy procedures related to complaints, member misconduct. We recognize that there is so much work to be done. We will be seeking further input and considerations for action through recommendations of executive committee and the culture PAG. The consensus among the executive committees, we need to rebuild trust with staff and members and meaningful change. These are all just words.
Yeah, they're words. I was going to say, this is all that what you would expect. Probably ChatGPT wrote that.
And so Bob's Goldberg's comment to the Times was he would not characterize this as a problem. Quote unquote, I would not characterize it as a problem when asked about the issue of sexual harassment.
Right. Well, what's really interesting though is I believe I have my numbers right. Only 19 of these were related to this Ken guy. Not like what about?
Yeah, it wasn't all 29.
If you don't have a problem, then who are the other 10 for?
Well, we don't know that.
Right.
We said that last week. It's like, well, who? Is it Bob?
Yeah, but but if it's not a problem, then who are these other 10 women? Anyway.
All right,
still very interesting.
So there's a Rob Hahn. He goes by the Notorious Rob.
Well, I'm assuming it's the Notorious ROB, right? The Notorious BIG.
Yeah, ROB. Notorious whatever.
Yeah.
He's got a Substack. He's been writing about the industry for years. Headline of his piece, Revealed Priorities of Realtor Politics. Let me sum this up for you.
Yeah.
And then I'll go into some details.
I look forward to your summary.
He's blaming members of NAR for caring more about a sexual harassment New York Times expose. I can't remember the last time New York Times blew the cover off of NAR. He's blaming members for caring more about that than something that happened at the San Diego Association of Realtors.
Right.
And he's saying that members as a whole don't care about these other corrupt issues that are going on, and we'll uncover what that was in just a second. First of all, Notorious Rob, I know you're well respected. I've read a lot of your pieces in the past. You obviously don't listen to anything that comes out of my mouth. For a decade, I've been beating up NAR. This whole show, the real word, calling everything a racket, is because we believe everything is mafioso style.
Right.
Been saying it for years. Okay, so Notorious Rob comes off on this piece a little bit like sitting on a pedestal, like he's the only one calling out what's going on in the industry. And I love these guys who are got one foot in the industry and one foot out.
Well, I don't even think he really has a foot in. His wife has a foot in.
He's a consultant. He does something He does something, with auctions, and his wife is an agent, and that gives him the credit. Kind of like Robert Revkin style, Compass CEO. Which, listen, a lot of people love Revkin. He's built an amazing brand, but he always tells the same story. My mom was a realtor, so that gives me credibility. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You raised a bunch of money from SoftBank, okay? And that's not a shot. It's just the truth. Like, the story about your mom being an agent isn't relevant to what's going on right now. And the story about your wife being an agent, notorious ROB, just isn't that relevant to me, okay? So he's been bombarded by emails, messages, and phone calls, people wanting to know what his opinion is.
Of course.
He says Parcell screwed up. I don't know what else. This is quote unquote out of his Substack piece. I don't know what else you call having an affair with a staffer at the organization where you are in leadership. Consensual, yes, but it's still a terrible decision.
Right.
So he didn't go deep on blasting it.
He just said he screwed up.
Just like
he's not a bad guy. He just did a bad thing.
Consensual relationship, but it doesn't address the other 28 accusations.
Yeah, right.
29 accusations.
Right. And the other 18 at him.
Right.
Yeah. No, he's not a bad guy.
Get the most out of our content by subscribing to BAMX. BAMX members get access to all of our courses, live streams, and our community, as well as our Hot Sheet daily downloads. It's literally coffee money to get in, and you get discounts to all of our events and our merch store, which is coming soon. If you're not a member of BAMX, you're missing out on the best content in real estate and the best access to practitioners and not pontificators in the space. There's plenty of them out there. Just look at NAR. Join BMX today. Use code REALWORD to get 10% off. Use code REALWORD to get 10% off. He had a consensual relationship.
He just did a bad thing.
He had a bunch of these consensual relationships while being married.
Right.
So it doesn't sound like Parcell's...
No, he did a bad thing. He's not a bad guy.
And people have been sticking up for this guy last week. I mean, he sounds like a scumbag to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're talking about his best friend, his BFF there, right?
His BFF. I'm just saying, if all these accusations are true, which are just accusations, the dude sounds like a scumbag.
Right.
Okay. Now, if they're not true, then show me the evidence of them not being true.
Well, again, especially in a position of power,
Right.
I think that if he was having sexual relationships with individuals that didn't work at NAR, this wouldn't necessarily be a question. He would, at that point, you're a scumbag.
Oh yeah. Oh, I get you on that.
You can have as many affairs as you want, just not with your employees.
Yeah. When you start to mix it in the business world, that's the worst thing you can do.
100%.
It should be. It's a lot worse than anything else because, to your point, he's got some girlfriend on the side.
Whatever.
That's going to be between you, your wife, your girlfriend, and you're going to get a divorce, and you got what's coming to you on that.
Yeah.
But when you start to mix it with the business, that's bad.
Well, right, and I mean, again, in this situation,
and you got 1.5 million members of this association.
And I think what's important here to remember too is that she didn't accuse him of anything because of the affair. It was because of what happened after the affair. Correct.
She said, "Hey, you had 3 affairs, white women.
Yes.
All kept their job.
Yep.
Me, a black woman,
did not.
Lost my job.
Yes.
After we broke up.
So
whatever
again,
happened,
she wasn't arguing that it was a consensual relationship and that then all of a sudden she was, heartbroken over the fact that they broke up. It was what had happened afterward.
That she was mistreated through a process and of somebody being in a position of power that she doesn't hold.
Right.
Okay, so now maybe Parcell had his former lover fired. Maybe he didn't, he writes. I mean, come on.
Parcell, she was a former lover and she was fired. I mean, it's...
So what he goes on to say is basically, he goes through all the articles of people being upset about the New York Times expose. He wrote this the last one is from Brad Inman himself, the godfather of real estate media. Well, you're just clearly not paying attention to BAM.
I think I was waiting for you to say something. I was like, oh boy.
He detailed the culture of omerta that exists in organized real estate. Okay, the sprawling, powerful trade group can be secretive and cultish. If you don't volunteer, you are shamed. These are Brad's words.
Yep.
Criticize the beast and you are ostracized. Leaders and employees who speak out are often isolated and criticized for not following the NAR script. Just ask former reform-minded presidents like Leslie Ruda Smith and Elizabeth Mendenhall. The pattern goes like this: an incident, a firestorm, cover-ups, followed by the circling of wagons, and the pouncing on critics. He ends the article calling for a change of the guard as a necessary first step. It's a fantastic op-ed piece, and Brad is right to point out the need for more transparency. But what he's saying is Brad should be complaining about what happened at the San Diego Association of Realtors, and that Inman hasn't published a story about this, amongst others. Okay, so the California Association of Realtors president, Jennifer Brancini, sent a letter to all CAR members. So you got California Association of Realtors.
Well, this was what really got him upset.
And then you've got the San Diego board. So Jennifer Brancini on August 29th sent a letter about the New York Times expose.
Right.
Over the weekend, the NYT published an article about alleged sexual harassment, workplace retaliation, and other misconduct at NAR. The article brought into sharp focus the set of alleged egregious behaviors that led to yesterday's resignation of NAR president. With NAR president-elect Tracey Kasper stepping in to fill the duties. The news is extremely upsetting to all of us. This is the CAR president to her California members.
Yes.
Upsetting to all of us as a community. We acknowledge the deep disappointment, anger, and frustration we're all feeling at this time. We applaud the bravery of the women who have chosen to come forward and share their experiences. It is through such courage to speak out that meaningful change can occur. And then she goes on to say...
all the right things.
All the right things that you would imagine she would say.
Harassment, misconduct or not, and will not be tolerated, all that,
Together we should and can contribute to creating a culture and profession that we are proud to be a part of, and one where everyone feels respective, okay? So Notorious Rob says it's a good letter, heartfelt. He liked everything she wrote. But why did this letter inspire me to write this post? Because there's a stark difference between CAR's response to the scandal that happened at San Diego Association of Realtors. Basically, what happened at San Diego Association of Realtors, to sum it up, was they were embezzling people in power, people on the board were embezzling members' money. Okay, so this was the response from CAR, from CAR on that. In recent weeks, the Greater San Diego Association of Realtors, GSDAR, has been impacted by allegations of wrongdoing by a former CEO, which were followed by a lawsuit filed by 4 employees alleging fraud and workplace retaliation.
Right.
Though the case is currently in litigation, CAR is closely watching and investigating this matter and is committed to using all available tools in the interim to protect its members. The current GSDAR CEO and Greater San Diego Association of Realtors are fully cooperating with CAR's inquiries. CAR does not condone illegal activities of any kind and condemns in the strongest terms any misuse of realtor dues. As always, CAR is fully committed to the highest legal, ethical, and moral standards. We are exploring all possible avenues and will be undertaking appropriate actions to serve the best interest of our members. This sounds like an attorney wrote this piece.
Well,
I think that's what Notorious ROB is missing.
I think where Rob is upset, he's like, the 10 years of corruption and financial impropriety is extremely upsetting to all of us as a community. He's sad that there wasn't more like empathy, more heartfelt. It was like you're saying, it was more of an attorney addressing it and not so much.
Well, because there's currently litigation.
Right.
When you look at the other situation, the accusations, there's not current litigation. The one lawsuit was
already settled. Yeah.
And now you have 29 accusations. You don't have this president of CAR is directly involved in litigation right now with what just happened at San Diego Association of Realtors. So if she pops off with too much empathy or emotion, which is what Notorious Rob is looking for, can be used against her by an attorney in some way. And so I'm assuming that this statement that was put out there was written by an attorney. It sounds like attorney speak. We are exploring possible avenues and undertaking appropriate actions. Those are attorney words. So, I mean, he really kind of sounded off on this. CAR is closely watching and investigating this matter. Sounds a lot like NAR's many investigations and claims of sexual harassment over the years. So he's making the comparison that NAR has brushed this under the rug, which they did in June. They said non-issue. They're still saying non-issue. Bob's a good guy, Mr. Goldberg. Let's praise him. Let's give him his $2.5 million. Not going to lose his job. That's what he's comparing the two to be. Now, he goes on in this piece to say that nobody is calling this a racket.
Yeah.
For years, I've been saying, in many states, and you see many comments like this, well, if my MLS didn't make me be a member of my local board, and if my local board didn't make me be a member of NAR, I wouldn't be a member of any of this crap, but I need the MLS
Of course.
to be a real estate sales professional. I've been saying for years, Ponzi scheme, mafioso, you got to be in this to be in that. You got to pay the piper each step of the way. 1.5 million members would be cut in half if you didn't have these stipulations in these state boards where it's like, no, you can't have the MLS unless you're a member of the local. No, you can't be a member of the local unless you're a member of NAR. It is monopolistic.
Right.
It shouldn't be the way it's done.
Right.
You should have the option to be part of NAR and your local board, and that shouldn't be tied to the MLS. Why? Because they made up some phony code of ethics. That's why the MLS has got to be tied to this. It's ludicrous, and I've been saying it for years, as many others have been. Notorious ROB. So, I don't appreciate a blogger, which is basically what Notorious ROB is.
Yep.
Sitting on a pedestal saying nobody in these local boards cares because there wasn't an uproar about the San Diego Association of Realtors. By the way, I would probably guess that there are many other local boards that are just as corrupt as San Diego Association of Realtors.
100%.
And if I'm a San Diego member, I would be calling for heads and I'd be screaming from the mountaintops, and CAR should definitely make some changes here. But to say that nobody cares and to compare it to what's going on with the New York Times expose is just a little silly, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, he's really upset at Brad. I mean, he circles back to Brad. Brad never talked about it. I mean, it's...
And he makes a statement in this piece, steal all the money you can, just don't sexually harass anybody. He doesn't cover what BAM covered, which was the NAR Accountability Project. Doesn't mention it in his piece at all. Maybe he's going to do a follow-up piece and notice what's been going on here. I did go on his Twitter. He's charging people $450 to learn about the class action suits on a webinar. Love for you to just come on the BAM YouTube channel and do it. I mean, BAMX members, by the way, you can go Real Word. What's the code? Real Word? And you can get in for coffee money, which is probably more value than the one webinar that you're doing. I'm not trying to beat you up, Notorious Rob, but
no, we love
you're saying
Rob.
You're all about the
ROB.
industry, and then you go on your Twitter timeline, and the first thing is like, throw me $450.
Right, which is probably what maybe someone pays to be part of their local board.
Yeah. 100%.
No different.
100%. And it's just a 1-hour Zoom, by the way. So, Rob, this is what fires me up. Is when people sit up on this pedestal and who are not in the arena. Your wife sounds like she's in the arena. She sounds like she's got her hands dirty in the business.
Right.
But you're like, know somebody who's in the arena and it makes you the expert. It fires me up a little bit. Love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Nicole, final thoughts on this one?
I guess where this upsets me is that I don't think we have to take away one to make your point. I think both are obviously equally as important and things that we should all be discussing, but I don't think this is a situation where we should putting this one down in order to pipe your horn on this one. I think they can, both be of conversations. I think that they are all conversations. I think these are conversations, again, like that you've been saying that we should be having for years. But I do disagree a little bit with bashing one to make one look better. I don't think that that's appropriate, especially for the individuals that are a part of the current situation.
I mean, did he want less articles on this topic? Like,
I don't know.
He just wanted the industry just to give New York Times the one article and just move on. I mean,
it doesn't make any. It really doesn't. Again, and that's where it's hard. It's in this business. It's like talking shit about an agent to make yourself look better. I mean, it's no different, And again, if we all want better, if we deserve better, like this isn't better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the update for now.
Did your shirts come in?
A lot more to come. If you're not a member of BAMX, get in there. Use code REALWORD, 10% off. We've got our NAR
Your
shirts.
merch,
Our merch should be, the store should be up. There was a little delay. Should be up this week. So.
Awesome. I'm excited for it.
All right, hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll be back next week with another Real Word, maybe another update on this story. Let us know
I'm certain of it.
In the comments if you want us to continue down this path. If there's news, we'll definitely discuss it. We'll see you then, guys. Keep it real.
See you guys.